Hey everybody, good morning. Today I'm going to talk about one of the greatest scam ever pulled in the newspaper business. So this is by the legendary Sailang King. Okay, who is the Sailang King? So this character is quite a top-ranking guy in the NST. But before I move on, right, a little bit of a recap, So back then in the late 80s and the early 90s, the NST was a powerhouse. Top English daily in Malaysia. Peninsular Malaysia in particular, they also spread across to East Malaysia by, flying the paper in every day. But all these peninsular Malaysia paper, if they get to places like Kuching, they arrive in the morning. By the time they reach the interior, you get the paper at night. So the NST is such, right? They command so much respect. If you go to any official function, when you sign up, the host will ask you, where are you from? Oh, I'm from the Star. Okay, you go to the back. How about you? NST. Okay, front row seats for you. That's how powerful they were, the respect they command. As a matter of fact, back then at the height of the newspaper in its prime, they churn out some of the best reporters ever. So with that reputation and all that, some people just ride on the success of their company. So they become arrogant. Going back to this Sailang King. So Sailang King made a claim, okay, that became the talk of the industry. For years, people spoke about how he made a claim for expenses and all these incidental payments and all that became a myth. Okay, the myth kind of like went into a legend. So legend has it that he was sent to a country in Southeast Asia that was on transition from civil war to ceasefire and then to have forming their own government. So there was a peace process and everything from there led to electoral process. So the media was invited to cover the electoral process. There was a media encampment in the capital of that Southeast Asian country, and then they moved by government helicopter to the countryside. Some of the nearby places, there was an armored column escort by the United Nations peacekeeping force. So a lot of those people who went there, they covered the electoral process. Some of them were fortunate enough to hop onto one of these armored vehicles and were transported as an observer to all these polling stations. So Sailang King was sent to cover the assignment. He came back, he filed in a claim, okay, one of the most ridiculous claims I've ever heard lah. So I thought that was a myth. So I made friends with people from the finance department, So I say, hey, what is this all about? So the guy said, yeah, ini cerita benar ni, He spoke in Malay. So ini cerita benar means this is a true story. So he said, dia ni pergi negara yang ada konflik. Dia sewa kereta perisai. Dia bayar bodyguard untuk temankan dia pergi ke kawasan yang panas untuk buat temu ramah. So I translate, right? This guy hired an armored car with armed bodyguard to conduct interviews in all these red zone. So he came back with receipts, and the company reimbursed him, right? Somewhere in the number of 50 over 1,000 ringgit. So that claim was legendary because, in my understanding, if you are sent abroad, you can actually request for a cash advance. So how cash advance work is that you submit a form, your big boss endorses it, your immediate boss endorses it. The number, you know, could be anything between 1,000 to 5,000 US dollars, given in traveler's check. Okay, mind you, no credit card, no touch and go e-wallet or what, traveler's check. So you need to take the traveler's check abroad to pay. So when you use the traveler's check to pay, mainly is for your hotel expenses. If you use the hotel's fax machine, telex, you know, or any phone, what to send story, that is your entitlement, right? So when you return from your assignment, you also return the unused or unspent traveler's check. But in the case of Mr. Sailang King, okay, the guy blew it on armored personal carrier, personal bodyguard. He was paid. So the official version of the story was, he boarded United Nations peacekeeping force armored car, and he had some of these peacekeeping troops to escort him, and they wrote him a receipt. So I was thinking, you gotta be really retarded lah, some way to submit a claim, right, issued by the United Nations. He had a receipt. So I put two and two together. Maybe he and the big bosses in cahoot and all that, you know, get the money, then they share the loot. I don't know. So this thing, like, he got paid, you know, he was really flamboyant with it. Progressively, the guy made it up the ladder. You know, from one of those specialist writer became assistant editor and all that. And also, I think one of the posts he had was foreign editor because of this going to war-torn countries to cover news there and all that. You know, I think one of the countries that was really hot during that time was in Eastern Europe, but I don't think the guy actually went there. But anyway, now the unofficial version of that so-called legendary allowance claim was, okay, he hired a private military contractor. Okay, so in my mind, that there can only be one during the era, executive outcome from South Africa. But I don't know which company was in question lah. There was something somewhere down the line, like he had this private military contractor who also provides armored escort services, okay, armored column and all that, with mercenary. So the guy had a armored car, you know, mercenary with him to make sure that he goes to all these hot zone, enter the place, interview people, maybe some of these rogue militant and all that, and come back with an exclusive story. So this happened in the early 90s, and the guy actually got away lah, you know, got paid big sum for the adventure in one of these conflicted countries in Southeast Asia. So gradually he moved on the ladder. You know, Sailang King is very well recognized. He rubbed shoulder with all the Tauke, play golf with them. The green fish, the Tauke pay. And one of those days, you know, I was having dinner at this place called Lala Chong at the Subang Airport. Just opposite, the next table was this group of senior journalists, okay, all his kaki, including Lala, the man himself. So they were drinking, eating and all that. So the owner, Lala, came up to me, "Hey, how are you, Sam?" I said, "Hey, these guys, they pay for their makan." "Oh, no, this all me. I play golf with them." So another greatest scam ever pulled was these guys, you know, they play golf, they work in cahoot with each other, you know, probably let the fellas all win a few holes and all, and then eventually they gobble them alive, win all their bets, you know, make them pay for their beers and meals. And that was you know, how bad it was, like, you know. I mean, if you say corruption don't exist in the newsroom, that's not true. But these people made it a lifestyle. So Sailang King was at the height of his career. You know, he gets invited for all these embassy function. He went overseas. Everything was really, you know, he was the king. Okay, there's no doubt about it. But his downfall, okay, came in the form of his protege. I'll talk about this later. There was a scandal. It was so bad, right? A domestic inquiry was just around the corner. He resigned. End of the story. Okay, the legend died with him. So I think after a long gig in the in the mainstream media, he went on to do freelance job, PR. Okay, a lot of these reporters, right, who didn't quite able to carve a name in the business, they go into PR because they know the inner workings of the newsroom. You know, who to call to get confirmation for assignments and all that. You know, they write press releases and all that. They became PR. Not a bad thing. You know, I got nothing really bad to say about PR except one or two guys. They kind of like move on to other aspect of the media business. So Sailang King didn't really have a long life lah. So I think in his late 60s or mid 60s, he passed away. Sailang King left the building, but his legacy, right, the most outrageous claim, you know, ordering an armored column, getting paid for it, you know, became legend. But as the story progresses, you know, how the myth become a legend, right? The myth was, you know, when one guy tells a story, the story started to snowball, it become big. There were even rumors, right? He actually paid for an airstrike and ordered a special forces team to neutralize the place before the interview ever happened. You know, but this story just gets better because I think reporters, you know, journalists, they are very creative. You know, they get this story, you add a bit of sugar and spice and all that, boom, you know, it becomes, you know, inevitably the what was a myth become a legend, solidify myth to legend. So there you have it, man, the Sailang King.